the idea behind it was to create an open platform where people could connect. And we gave this example of you could be working one day for NASA and Google, we worked with Microsoft.
Okay.
So this was a learning curve, which for them was amazing. I think that all of them thanked me for it because they learned skills that they can do whatever they want inside the crypto space. It's been a decade, it's easy to get tired of this. And there's a lot of people that already went out. In my case, I'm here because what happens and the innovation that is being created. And that's what drives me.
How we are right now, what will happen in the last 6 months with the market, how you are helping these new developers.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Welcome to Crypto G's. We are at Talking 2049 this week, and we had a really good special guest, Mr. Mario Alves. I need to say Mario Alvarez because there's a football player from Colombia called Mario Alvarez. How are you doing, Mario?
Yeah, similar. I'm very good. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about crypto.
So crypto OG since 2015, and of nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations for a decade of hustle, pain, glorious success, everything else. But before we talk about crypto, you were mentioned that you work as a consultant.
Yes.
And you work in the traditional banking. Guide us through a little bit how was your experience before jumping into the crypto world?
Sure. So I studied as an economist. So that was my academic background. And at the time, I was told that I had two options. Work at a bank or work at a consulting firm.
Okay.
So I did both. And both didn't work because I felt like it was too boring. I was a small piece of a very large puzzle. And then I stumbled upon crypto.
Yes.
So this was when I was working at an investment bank, and there were people that were asking me about it, like clients. And
clients were asking you. Okay.
And I was like, okay, let me dig into that. And then once I started to get into that rabbit hole, I said, this is amazing. I need to convince the bank to have this. Of course, I didn't succeed.
Yeah.
So at the time, I had two options: either leave the bank and start things on my own, which was something that I really wanted to do for a very long time. So this was what I did, because otherwise I would have to stay there. And it's been 10 years, and regular banks still don't have crypto to sell to their clients.
Well, that's how everything started. Mario, today you are building a safe place for crypto projects, so we will talk about that.
Yeah.
But let's rewind again. You just mentioned you were in the bank and they didn't want to listen to you. So, but what was that your lowest moment in crypto that pushed you to say, I need to change the whole thing right now?
Yeah.
This needs to change.
Okay, I think there's several moments.
Okay.
Every time a bear market comes, I think there's, another low-key moment where, it kind of forces you to rethink about what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So it happened to me quite a few times. But the first time was after the 2017 bull run in the ICO phase. I was helping a lot of projects, local projects, to do their ICOs.
In Portugal?
In Portugal, yes.
Yeah.
So I actually was part and saw the first ICO in Portugal. It came to be.
Wow.
And then I said, okay, this is amazing. This will revolutionize everything. And then in 2018, everything crashed.
Yes.
So I said, okay, this is probably wrong in some aspects. So probably there's some fixing here that needs to happen. So that's when I started TaiKai originally. And, that was the turning point for me to actually start my own business and start to make a change within the space. And, the last bear market led me into TaiKai Garden. So, each bear market, I think it turns to be a pivotal moment for the companies that I work with, or me personally.
Something that happened with the bear market, every single bear market, is do a whole cleanse in the industry, right? Of people that were trying to build, but they didn't succeed, or they didn't believe in the technology or the culture.
Yeah.
But also a lot of people that came here just for the quick buck, quick money, and then they get flushed away. But let's go a little bit back. for TaiKai, right? Or
Yes,
Tai-
TaiKai.
TaiKai.
Yes.
So before TaiKai Garden, there was a TaiKai Network, right?
Yes.
How did you even get the idea to build something that connect thousands of people to solve real problems for huge companies like Microsoft or Pfizer?
Yeah. So TaiKai Network in this case came to be in 2018. So that was my first entrepreneurial experience. And the idea behind it was to create a platform, an open platform where people could connect. So where I could connect big companies like Pfizer, Microsoft, the European Commission, etc., and builders and innovators in the space. But this was too broad. So I had to narrow this down in order for it to be something more specific and actually to have a business behind it as well. So this came to become a hackathon platform that allows for all of these companies that you mentioned, both in the Web 2 and the Web 3 space, to launch their hackathons and to manage their hackathons. And on the other side of things, we're actively seeking builders to build up on these hackathons and to create their projects. And yeah, that's how TaiKai came to be.
And you've seen your idea evolve from simple innovation challenge to something massive. But let's be honest, did you ever imagine that you'll be working with brands and institutions like the European Commission? So how do you feel about it, especially as such a big political organization?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when we started TaiKai, we had this saying, which is, our idea is for people to work for multiple organizations at the same time. And we gave this example of you could be working one day for NASA and Google the other. And we didn't work with NASA yet, but we worked with the European Space Agency.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't work with Google, but we worked with Microsoft.
Okay.
Although, Google, we still have long discussions. So in essence, it all came to be. So for me, it wasn't like a surprise because I always eagered and I knew that we would eventually get there. So yeah, for me, it's, something of a realization. But more important than that, it's the impact that we're able to generate. So for me, working with Web3 organizations or Web3 communities, in some cases, plays a more significant role than working with big companies. Because for Pfizer, I know I'm helping a bit, but I'm not changing the entire ecosystem. But for the Web3 side of things, that's a little bit different. And that's where things start to get a little bit more fun.
And I think so, big brands or institutions, they always avoid risk, especially when they want to get integration with Web3 or crypto.
Yes.
Something that happened to me in 2022, one of the biggest exchanges, I was helping them to get some connections in I won't mention the city, but in a city in Europe, they're very big into fashion. You probably can imagine which one.
Yeah.
And I got the board of the head of fashion of that country, and they're the one that manage the whole brands that are the most expensive in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I managed to get my friend connected to that guy with the president and the head of partnership of the exchange. And the deal got pulled out because they got scared. They couldn't explain to this fashion organization that had multi-billion-dollar stake in different countries how they can do it. So that's what happened in crypto. The big brands, they used to avoid risk. Now they're taking a little bit more of a better approach. But they trust, for example, your idea. How do you convince them to open their doors to innovation from outsiders, developers, and even random creative people from all over the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. It took time.
Okay.
Essentially, it took time, a lot of education. When you have all of these new things, like it's an innovation platform, hackathon platform, and you also have Web3 and crypto related to it, it's like people try to get away from it. It's like, okay, what is this?
Yes.
Maybe I'm getting into the wrong door, and you have to pull them back in. and you have to explain them, look, this is the way that we believe that innovation will be made. Crypto incentives and transparency need to be on board, and you need to explain all of these things. Since 2018, things are started to get a little bit more easy to explain because most of these brands are already more aware of what Web3 and crypto is. But in 2018, I had this idea of having like a physical hub for crypto people in Portugal, and I went to the city hall to explain that, and they were like, "What is that?"
Yes.
So there's a lot of barriers. You just need to build up trust over time, so that these brands start to trust you and to use your products. And once you get one into the door, then the others will be easier to get in as well.
So that obviously it took a little bit of while doing lobbies, being enthusiasts about blockchain solutions and everything else. But let's talk about your personal growth within blockchain. You decided to go all into blockchain.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly made you think blockchain isn't just hype? It's actually what we need to take TaiKai to the next level.
Yeah. So for me, I have one trait that defines me, which is I'm an eternal optimist.
Okay.
So I always believe that things will go well.
Yes.
And when they don't, I try to see the positive side of things.
Yes.
So that's what has been happening within my crypto journey. And until now, I'm still fascinated and enthusiastic about the technology. So as you said, Crypto OGs has been around for 10 years. I'm also turning 10 into the crypto space. It's been a decade, it's easy to get tired of this. And there's a lot of people that already went out. In my case, I'm here because what happens and the innovation that is being created. And that's what drives me. And that's also why I believe that TaiKai is playing a significant role. That's why I want to keep having TaiKai into whatever is new and innovative within the crypto and Web3 space. And that's what I'm trying to always push forward because I know that this will play a significant role.
So always being optimist is good. It's a good quality to have. I like that. And now you're also being optimist about acquiring different companies. So you acquired Bipro Network to integrate blockchain into TaiKai. So it sounds fancy getting a new company, but it's not a little bit like scary emotionally. So what went through your head when you signed the deal? So I'm going to buy this thing. Is it going to work? Might not work. How was it?
Yeah. So, okay, let's divide this into theory and practicality. So the theory part was before getting the deal done. So having Bipro was at the time developing a blockchain platform for bounties. So bounties is a very similar space with hackathons.
Okay.
So in theory, I thought, okay, if I acquire this, I will get more users in, I will get more people to use both products. Eventually, we can merge both products. So this was, in theory, what I thought that was going to happen. But then, after doing the deal, it was like, okay, now I have this whole community to manage because Bipro had a token launched already. So there was like a big community around the token and the product itself, and they had very high expectations for it. So I had to manage essentially two companies at the same time. At the moment, I think that the process is much streamlined, and the community has now seen the benefit of having the two products and working as a whole for both products. But initially, it was a process that I had to take on. I also had to take on people that were coming from the other company.
Okay.
So culturally, there's always some barriers that you need to overcome. But at the end of the day, I think that it was positive for both the company and myself personally, because I grew a lot from that experience. and I'm happy that we did so.
And talking about growing from that experience, but you mentioned you also got the team, but how your team react and your community when you start bringing blockchain to the picture?
Mhm.
Like, was everybody on board, or anybody, or some member of the team were trying to push it back, or
Yeah.
not being too optimistic?
Well, this was something that was already thought out since the beginning of the company. So I've before creating TaiKai, I was creating communities around blockchain and crypto space in Portugal. I was already helping projects, investing in projects. So it was no secret that blockchain was my passion. Um, and we started slowly to integrate some blockchain components into TaiKai, but bpro was a complete blockchain product, right? So it was from end to end. There was no login or sign up with email. It was just wallets. So this was a major shift. For the community itself, I think it was easier than the team because most of the dev team was more used to doing Web 2 technology, and suddenly they had to integrate wallets and do all of these things. So this was a learning curve, which for them was amazing. I think that all of them thanked me for it because they learned skills that they basically can do whatever they want inside the crypto space. So yeah, overall, I think it was initial barriers and initial fears, but we immediately overcome that.
And that what made you a good leader. I think so. For anybody in the industry, you have to have your community, but also you have to have a good team in order to grow. I haven't seen any entrepreneur or business owner to grow by themselves. You have to have a decent team that you have to scale it up, and you have to train them, and you have to like babysit them sometimes. Also, often actually they take over and they actually teach you as well a lot of valuable lessons. And talking about valuable lessons, let's talk about the next chapter of TaiKai. So after all this experience, then you launched TaiKai Garden. So real talk, what is the exact pain or frustration you saw in the crypto space that made you create the solution about TaiKai Garden?
Yeah. Well, I saw, again, this was the bear market or the market conditions that we're in that made me realize that on one side, there was very good technology and innovation from infrastructure point of view. For example, we can see that Pump Fun from an infrastructure standpoint of view is interesting. It works. Everybody can launch a token and in just a few minutes have their token launched. Their audience and what they've been building from more of a market standpoint of view, it's a little bit more debatable, right? So it's meme coins. It doesn't have any specific value associated with that. It's not a project that is building on the background. So it's just launching a token for the sake of launching a token. And for me, this was like, okay, if the infrastructure works, why don't we apply it into a different level? And what we saw within TaiKai was we did a lot of hackathons, especially in the Web3 space, and most of the projects died after the hackathon.
Yeah.
So it's a weekend hackathon. Everybody goes home. Here's your prize. Bye-bye. And the builders didn't had any incentives to keep building and to eventually turn that into a startup. So our thought was, okay, why don't we build something that is similar with infrastructure that already is taking place for other types of coins and apply it to these types of projects and give them a possibility of having new team members, mentorship within the platform. And once they are ready, they can apply for graduation. And by applying for graduation within our platform, you need to be vetted by the community in order to pass on to the next phase and to launch your token. So it's not everyone that can launch a token.
It's not Pump Fun.
Yes, it's not Pump Fun. So the idea is to have both an AI assessment that puts your score on chain and that says, okay, you've passed. And this is a very simple assessment. It's just saying if the team is legit, if the profiles actually exist, or if it's a fake profile, if the project is not a copy paste from any other project. So doing, a small assessment, and after that saying, okay, now the human committee can decide if the project goes forward or not. And this turns, a very interesting infrastructure into a very powerful concept, which is the idea of having, the possibility of having these projects, these high quality projects, being brought to the community instead of digging through the trash and trying to see if you find any good projects.
So, in a nutshell, Garden help investors to go through all the noise and safely find the project that are trustworthy. No chaos, no meme coins, no scams.
Yes, exactly. That's the plan.
That's very good. And also, we were talking about this is before we start the podcast. We were talking about Web3 and Web2. Remember?
Yes.
So what I noticed right now, there's not enough. Well, not like used to be 1 year ago. There's still money coming to Web3, but not like used to be. Because the people in Web3 are not investing anymore in anything else. They're just holding their token, and they just probably move from one, let's say from Solana to SEI, to SUI, or from Ethereum to Bitcoin. So there's no liquidity. Now we start this out of love for the technology or crypto, peer-to-peer solution, but we forgot it's also a financial instrument.
Yes.
I'm talking about financial instrument. There is so many opportunities in other industries, agriculture, AI, technology, defense, healthcare, pharmacy, but we don't know how to get to access to this opportunity. What are your opinions about what is going to happen, especially this year? I think there's a shift in the narrative, especially with the people that are being long in crypto. I have noticed more people start to think that way. Let's go back to Web2 or traditional investments, and let's just do a cycle to keep the industry healthy. What are your opinion?
Yeah, I have a similar opinion because I believe that the Web3 people build products for Web3 people.
Yes,
that's why you have no new liquidity. It's the same people, and every time a new blockchain pops up, they're essentially stealing devs from other blockchains, and it's how it works. It's from a builder perspective, from a retail user perspective. Everyone is playing the same game within the same village because it's a village still. So yes, for me, I think that the way that we unlock this is by going into more traditional sectors. And we're starting to see that now with traditional finance finally adopting blockchain technology. Yes. It makes their lives easier because it's faster, it's cheaper. I did a bank transfer the other day from Europe to the US, which is fairly conventional. And I had to pay 100 euros to do that transfer, and it took like 2 days.
2 days, yes.
If I would use stable coins, it would be just a few cents and
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute, and the transaction would be there. So I think that now institutions, like traditional institutions, are seeing that this technology is actually useful for them. We just need to level up our game and understand that we don't need to just communicate for the same crowd and for the same audience. We need to figure out ways on how we can embrace and bring more industries and more traditional people into this space.
You mentioned just now about the layer ones keep rotating, the devs, the marketing team, the market makers, everything. But now let's talk about the future of builders, right? Helping new builders. Imagine you're a young founder and you have a very good idea, but no reputation. That happens all the time, especially now.
Yes.
No followers, no network, no name, nothing. Let's talk about how TaiKai Garden helps someone like that person to build credibility for nothing. This is something very important, especially how we are right now, what will happen the last 6 months with the market, how you are helping these new developers.
Yes. So as I mentioned, the previous platforms for launching tokens or exposing your project have too many projects there, and it's very hard for you to navigate and to find the good ones. And that's how we believe that we can make a difference, is by spotting the good ones from a very early stage, like from a hackathon stage, and give them the possibility of having all the exposure that they need. And so through that, I would say that's the way that they're able to gain more attention from the market. And if we do this very successfully for a lot of projects, then that reputation builds over time, and people will seek TaiKai Garden as the solution or the showcase for the best projects out there. And that's how we believe that we can help those projects and those builders.
That's very interesting. Now, let me go back to the founder, because I have another project. I don't have another project for you. I have another question for you. Now, how many pitch decks have you seen in your life? Hundreds, thousands, right?
Yes.
I think so. What happened before, probably the last 2 years, people were lazy because they were just putting anything on a pitch deck, putting some economics, throwing some numbers, putting a couple of the founders, and people got investment just like that. It was easier, but now it's more challenging. I think so. Somebody that understands how to create very good pitch deck, just gaining all the knowledge from other industries, the traditional investment, and they know how to do it properly, they will be the winners of this cycle, especially founders. For me, it's very important. A founder have to have, of course, good credibility, good track record, and it has to be more than 1, 2, 3 founders, because it's less liable if somebody pass away, then the company goes downhill. But the founders, they make so many mistakes. For example, a founder is trying to raise $5 million. Just an example, he cannot turn up for a meeting with an investor with a $100,000 watch. Yeah. Because, okay, why am I going to invest $5 million? You have $100,000. Or arrive in a $250,000 car to the meeting. Or just going to parties all the time. So there's a lot of stuff that founders don't understand. So you have experience with 100 projects. What the biggest mistake early stage founders always make? And that's not one question. How do your platform help them to avoid failing back into those mistakes?
Yeah. I think that, summing it up, everything comes down to the team and the founders, especially on early stage investors, right? Or early stage projects. There's, a time in which you're, raising more money and you're already established projects in which, the team and the founding team doesn't play a significant role. But for early stage, that's the most important thing. So you need to really make sure that you're passing an image of you knowing everything about the industry that you're in, not just about your product, but everyone's products within your industry.
The competitors,
Because if you don't, then you don't know what you're doing. And I think that the advice that you passed on is quite useful, is how are you mindful of investors' money? If you're having a 100K watch and if you're having a 200K car, maybe you're not so good at managing other people's money. You might be, you just have to explain it better. It's like, okay, I did an exit before, I'm rich now. I will put, half of the investment round will be my money. Okay, that shows that you're committed to it, right? So for me, I think that these are, the most important steps. On the TaiKai Garden aspect, I would say that the way that we're trying to do this is using smart contracts to enforce some things, like, for example, the team vesting. We believe that this is very important. So if you're not committed to at least 2 years of being on the project to get your tokens, then I'm not sure if you're not trying to make a quick buck out of this, right? So we enforce the 2-year vesting at least for the founders, so that you as an investor can invest and can be more or less comfortable that those guys are not just taking the money and walking away. But again, I think it's a mix between having the trust and using tools and the technology at our disposal to enforce some of these things.
Yeah. Now, you just mentioned something about vesting periods and stuff because we recently experienced a massive crash with Mantra, right? And there were locking mechanisms, and there was a lot of, they say, the rumor there was a lot of OTCs, and there was a lot of people with a lot of tokens, and everybody started to sell. And Mantra has been for years.
Yeah.
So this is the question for you is, do you think 2 years is too short? 5 years is too long? What would be the middle point right now? Because before it was, even 1 year was for a crypto investor say, no way, I rather to have in Bitcoin and just wait.
Yeah.
And now I think so 2 years is it sounds not too long because people will sell in some point, and then the new retail money that comes in are the exit liquidity. But 5 years is way too long. But in traditional investments, it's 5, 10, 15 years. How you see now the timing?
Yeah. I would say that there needs to be a bare minimum. 2 years is, for me, the bare minimum.
Okay.
If it's 5, I think it's reasonable. But more than that, there are 2 things that I believe that are more important or that need to be complemented. One is, which investors are you bringing on board? The same with team, right? So you need to make sure.
Smart money.
Yes. And you need to make sure that they're not going to dump on you on the first opportunity. There are some ways to go over that, which is, in some cases, there are the possibility of investing in tokens plus equity.
Yes.
If an investor has equity, they have less chance of dumping the tokens because they want the company to succeed long term, right? And apart from that, it's how you can also diversify that. So if you go more into a VC type of round, there will be 3 or 4 players involved. While if you go more into TaiKai Garden or a more community investment approach, then you get tons of investors, and that way you kind of distribute more the risk on that front. So I think that in essence, you just have to figure out what's best for you and for your specific project. But ideally, if you can, on one side, involve the community of your project into investing into you, I think it's better for several reasons. Plus, you diversify the risk of having big dumps on you.
Okay, now let's talk about like big investment like companies like VC, hedge fund. Let's talk about retail, right? Because retail are the one that build this industry. If you had to talk directly to someone investing their hard-earned cash, money, people that are not into crypto, people I don't know, working hospital, lawyers, pilots, anyone. So, and then trying to invest into early stage crypto projects today. What's the number one piece of advice you give them to avoid getting burned, scam, or anything that could happen to them?
Yeah. Well, my personal advice is, of course, assess the team. But more than that, if you have the opportunity, talk with the founders.
Talk to the founders.
Yes. Get to know them personally.
Yes. Just make a phone call, send a tweet. Yeah.
So I think that is a very easy way to validate. If they don't pay you enough attention, then probably they're not worth your money. If they do, then you can assess, if it's a good founder or a bad founder. And, we are standing here and I can see that you are a good person, and we are connecting in a sense, and we are doing that because we're talking with each other, right? It's the best way to figure out and to assess everyone's judgment. And again, I think it all comes down to the initial team. If you're betting on the good team, even if the project doesn't succeed, they can do a pivot of that project, for example, and turn it into something that works. And they will try to make sure that your money is not bad spent in that way, right?
I had 2 weeks ago, Dr. Anna Macmillan. She's very knowledgeable about investments. And then she been telling me and teaching me a lot of stuff, and she's agree with you. The team is the most important. So now when I'm reviewing pitch decks, I don't check the whole tokenomics, the whole marketing size. I go straight to the slide of the founders, co-founders.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, very important, and I will say this, if I was a new project, I would put in the second page who are the founders straight away. Because it tells me yes or no straight away. It can be the best idea, the best project, but the founder don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't know, that factor. I probably avoid it. Now, let's talk about red flags, because that happened to me in a pitch deck. They sent me this deck, and then I checked the founders. It was a massive red flag, even when the project was amazing. So tell me straight, what's one huge red flag investor absolutely cannot ignore when looking at new projects?
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how tempting it looks, it's going to be like 2, 5, 10, 20x. It's like being endorsed by major publications or companies. What is a massive red flag that you will tell them stay away from them?
Mm-hmm. Well,
a part of talking to the founders.
Yeah. I would say that, team is something that you should obviously be careful about. There's a lot of red flags that I've already identified. Probably another one is trying to figure out what they've done in the past and try to see if they don't just found companies and leave them after 6 months and then start a new company and leave them after 6 months. Because if they do this on a loop, it means that after 6 months, they will have no money and you'll have no money as well.
Yes.
Because you completely got burned. But apart from that, I would also focus on valuation itself. If it's a very early stage project and the valuation is absolutely crazy, for me, it's a red flag. Because how am I going to get my money returned, right?
Yes.
If it's a too high valuation, it means that the project either needs to raise more money at an even higher valuation, or when it reaches the market, it needs to sustain that valuation at least. So for me, that's typically a red flag. And I typically don't invest into projects that have already very high valuations at an early stage, because I know that the possibility of having my money back will be close to zero.
What is a number that high valuation?
Yeah, good question. For me, I think that something above 100 million at start, it's crazy.
Okay.
It's like, unless you're doing something that is completely groundbreaking and changing the industry entirely.
Yes.
Why do you have a 100 million valuation in a seed round, right?
Okay.
Ideally, something up to 10 million, I think it's a good valuation.
Okay.
Which is very hard to find in crypto nowadays. Yes. But if you go to the traditional startup sector, unless you're going to AI and it's kind of like the same overvaluation aspect, it typically a startup has a 6 million, 4 million valuation when they're first starting to raise, and this is typically the best approach. And another advice is to invest as early as possible, because that's when you also get better valuations.
And what is early possible? 6 months, 1 year?
Yeah, so typically, when the project does their first fundraising round, independently if it's within the first months or so, I think it's the best timing for you to invest.
The first round. Okay, amazing. Now I have a closing question for you that is going to summarize a lot of stuff that we've been talking today. Nice. This year has been crazy. We have ups and downs. Bitcoin went to 106, then all the way to 70, then back 96. But now, I think that the most important is, look, all the ups and downs, partnership with giants, blockchain integrations, and now you're launching TaiKai Garden. You have to leave it all. What's the one thing that will wake you up excited every single morning to keep building?
Okay, good question. Well, it is true that I feel like I've already done a lot, and I'm very proud of all of the things that I've done. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, but I learned a lot in the process. And I still have a lot of faith within this ecosystem,
Okay.
and I still want to play a significant role on it. So for me, I think that I was solving the first part of the problem, which was the sparking innovation problem, like the cold engine start problem, and I solved it through the hackathon side of things, right? And I'm now able to bring a lot of people and a lot of builders building stuff on hackathons because we also played a role on that. And now I'm focusing on another problem or another part of the problem, which is the both the fundraising aspect, but at the same time, from an investor standpoint of view, a creation aspect. So how do I identify the best projects out there? So this is what I'm fixing right now, or what I'm trying to fix. And I don't know if there will be a next step, but I'm here to find out. I think that what makes me excited and waking up in the morning is knowing that I have problems to fix.
Okay.
So as long as I have that, I'm happy to keep on going, to keep on trying to fix them.
And we have a lot of problems to fix this year in the industry.
Yes.
And that's why we're here with CryptoGist. Mario, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And I wish you success with all the projects and with Talking 2049. It's been amazing having one of the top CryptoGists in the program 2015. Thank you so much, and congratulations for all the projects that you're building. And I'll see you maybe in Portugal the next time.
Yes, perfect.
For everybody, how they can find you, we'll put all the links here, but the easy way to find you if they want to connect with you.
Yeah, of course. Well, if they look for me on both Twitter or LinkedIn, just type Mario Alves and you're probably...
Mario Alves, no Alvarez.
Yes, exactly. And you're
so
probably going to find me.
Thank you so much, Mario, and thank you so much to
Andres.
CryptoGist. I'll see you soon. Obrigado. Ciao.